If one of us isn't benefiting from it or it doesn't feel right, then we shouldn't be doing it. And I feel like business is like that in general. Because if anybody tells you they don't want something, they're lying. Got my first sales job, which I tell people, I want to be a salesperson. It was always what I knew and what they taught us, and that was everything was around goals and quotas, but that wasn't me. So where I am today is sales is a component of it, and I really believe that that's a super important part of it, but owning a nonprofit is not a sales job.
Welcome to Chiseled for Success, the podcast where we share the real stories behind success, the stories of growth, grit, and the moments that shape who we become. I'm Monica, your host, a lover of continuous improvement and the never-ending journey of excellence, a lifelong learner, and a big believer that success isn't something we stumble into, it's something we are shaped by. Today, I'm really excited to welcome Janis Strutt as our guest. Janis and I have really only known each other a short period of time, but it has been extremely impactful, and she has a great story to tell. Janis is the co-founder of Morgan's Caring Connection. She is a wife, a mom, and a grandma, and really a community connector and contributor. Today, I look forward to you hearing her story. Janis, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I'd like to start out by saying, for our viewers that might have an opportunity to get to know you just a little bit. So what do you want the world to know about you as we get started?
Oh boy, that I did not get here by happenstance. Like, it's been a long journey, and I'm very excited to see what the future brings for our nonprofit and for our family.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And what would you tell them about you?
Oh boy. I think, like you said, I'm a connector. I've always been a hustler, a type A person, and I'm learning as I get older to prioritize that better and do things with intention and make sure that they're things that align for the right reasons versus just doing things.
And you're still learning that.
Oh yeah, every day. Every day. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's a constant reminder kind of thing. Like, is what I'm doing today intentional and with the right purpose? And if not, take a step back and realign and make sure that I'm doing that in everything that I do. Mostly I'm thinking like my calendar in general, like just making sure that I'm being mindful of what aligns with purpose.
Yeah, great. So many words in there. That's why we're talking today. Alignment, intentionality, purpose, right? Here we go. So, Janis, I really love to have our viewers see our guest stories from a perspective of how they chiseled away their journey to success. So I like to really start out with just the idea of what was a big block that you had that you decided to start chiseling away on to get a journey started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to take you back to graduating high school and being one that didn't do well in school. And it wasn't because, and at the time I thought maybe I was stupid but that wasn't it at all. It was just the way I learn is differently, which took me another 10 years to figure out. So I didn't go to college right out of high school. My parents never pushed it, never encouraged it. And so I went right into working, got my first sales job, which I tell people, very rarely do you meet somebody that says, I want to be a salesperson. Like, that's not a career path that people typically intentionally follow.
Yeah.
So I stumbled into my first sales job, which was at a large retail shoe store in Chicago, or the suburbs of Chicago. And it was 100% commission. And so I really had to hustle. Like I really had to find a way to separate myself from other people in order to make the money I wanted to make. And I feel like that's really what set my path to where I am today. And then when I felt like I was done with that part of my sales career, I moved into outside sales with a company, and I did retail sales for copiers. And funny story, I walked in literally the first day of my job. Mind you, I'm 24 years old, never had outside sales experience. And I walked in, and my sales manager said, I don't have time for you. It's end of our fiscal year. We're wrapping up our books. We've got our President's Club trip, and we need to qualify so we can make the trip. And I was like, okay, now what? So she handed me some of her business cards and some brochures and said, just go out and talk to some people, swing some doors, talk to some business owners. So I did. I made my first sale the first week I was there that made my first month's quota. And then I went back to the office and started talking to them about this President's Club thing. And they're like, don't worry about it. You won't make it your first year. And I was like, game on. Challenge accepted. So I found out what the trip was, how to qualify for it. What ended up happening is I not only made the trip, which was to Monte Carlo, I also was the sales rep that brought the last sale in at the last minute to qualify her team and her sales manager. And, that really kind of paved my way to know that was my destiny to be in sales. But then the time came where I was like, this is really, really hard. And I don't know if I want to do this. And I kept trying to find a different career path. And everything kept bringing me back to sales. It was like, no matter what I tried, it just always brought me back to it. So where I am today is sales is a component of it, and I really believe that that's a super important part of it, but owning a nonprofit is not a sales job. So it's just interesting that all those paths that I went through brought me to where I am today.
Yeah. Sales is always an interesting conversation. One of the things, I was in healthcare for a lot of my career, and we actually hired, sales positions, but we don't label them sales titles.
Right.
And I am a true believer, and thank God for salespeople who have a passion about what they're selling that kind of become the experts that we can lean on. So it doesn't mean we have to buy, but it just means that, thank goodness, there's somebody out there that's willing to go gain knowledge, understand, be interested in me and what my needs are. So I'm a big lover of salespeople, and I try to put good in the world, that if someone's trying to sell to me, I'm like, give us some time, right? And but learning I could say no has really helped me with my beliefs around sales. And I try to share that with people. We're selling ourselves every day. We are selling
100%.
everything that we're doing. And so a very important piece for people to accept that sales is part of life, for sure. When you look back in that season of life, what would you say was your definition of success? What would you say was
Right. It was always what I knew and what they taught us, and that was everything was around goals and quotas and lacked customer service, and it was around the next thing and how do we get there and bigger and better, but that wasn't me. See, that was the difference, is that part of it. I love goals. That drives me 100%. And I'm great at when people give me goals, I'm there, challenge accepted all day long. But I don't like to compromise the service, the support. And I found that all my corporate jobs made me they just didn't give me the ability to be able to do that. You know, I worked for Yellow Book selling yellow page advertising, and it was always meet your quota in this market and then you're done and then you're off to the next market. And again, it was very good for me because I'm very goal oriented and I love a challenge, but I was always like, I can't give the service that I want to give, the support. And as you know, growing my network is very important to me, and I wasn't able to do things like that. So in my next chapter, when I ended up eventually going off on my own and starting a marketing business, it gave me the ability to pull back on the things that I didn't like and do them the way that I wanted to do them.
Yeah. Let's talk about that chiseling, like that kind of that, you know, you had this journey that was kind of really purposeful. It was set out for you, and then you start chiseling it into Janis's way, Janis's path. What are some ways that you chiseled away? What are some things that you did?
Well, so for me, when I started my marketing business, I did everything on networking. Everything was networking, word of mouth, introductions. I owned a marketing business and didn't market myself, not through traditional marketing. I did it through networking, referral business, and building relationships. And the funny thing is, I didn't realize, so I moved here 25 years ago, and I didn't really realize that I had been doing that all along. Sorry. Until I started the nonprofit and realized that that was the purpose of what I was doing. It wasn't the sales at all. It was building my network of people to help me with my nonprofit.
Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah.
If we think about some of the micros, some of the details, talk about building relationships. You're really good at it. So share with me, like, what's inside Janis that builds relationships? What's some of your values?
Well, I'd like to think I'm genuine. Like I'm genuinely interested in having a connection with people. And I feel like there's a lot of people that connect, again, not necessarily for the right reasons. I mean, let's talk about how you and I met. I mean, really, we met in a networking group. We hadn't known each other. We set our one-on-one. We sat down at the table and just started having a conversation. And that's where we realized that you knew Morgan. And like, how is that even possible? You know what I mean? Like, and in healthcare, not even in what you're doing now. And here we are, 2.5 years later, and have this amazing relationship. We're friends. I consider you a mentor. You're my coach, and somebody I really respect. And because of my building my relationship with you like that, it's very similar with everybody else that I come into contact with. I try to make it something that is also equally beneficial. I feel like a lot of people, again, it's a one-sided what's in it for me. And I've always been hey, this is a handshake. Let's do this together. And if one of us isn't benefiting from it or it doesn't feel right, then we shouldn't be doing it. And I feel like business is like that in general. We're not fit or meant to connect with everybody. We're not meant to always have the clients that we have. Sometimes it's okay to say no. Sometimes it's okay to say we're not a good fit. So I really feel like that's one of the ways that what I do is unique, is it's literally like really a truly genuine relationship. And I'm always looking to make sure that we both get something out of it that's equally beneficial. Because if anybody tells you they don't want something, they're lying.
Sure.
Like, we all have expectations. We really do inherently, whether we want to or not. And so I want to make sure that if we have expectations, that nobody's disappointed,
Mhm.
and that we're each benefiting from it and growing from it.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really where I genuinely fit in differently in the connecting world than many other people do.
My experience with you is just so purposeful. And so that idea of kind of a mutual, I like to talk about win-wins. Then I add another win because I love to have put the third win. And recently I could do 4 wins. It was pretty cool. I don't remember what the scenario was. With saying that, I'm going to pull out a little BNI, giver's
Sure. Yeah,
gain. I think it's
absolutely.
trademarked, so I want to make sure. But where did you learn kind of that idea of I want to give? Where does that come from?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like um, the universe has a way of bringing back to us what we put out there.
Mhm.
It's not a secret. I'm not a ultra religious person, but I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that what I put out comes back. And it might not be right now. It might be weeks, months, years from now, but I believe that if you do things for the right reasons, again, it comes down to purpose, being genuine. If you do things the right way, it all lines up
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So it's just been something that I've just inherently learned, not necessarily because I set out that I'm going to do this a
Yeah.
certain way. It just naturally happened. And, I get that from a lot of people that my expectations really are genuine in if things work out great. And if they don't, that's fine too. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of people maybe aren't. So I think that that's really, it wasn't something I intended to do.
Yeah.
It just naturally has occurred that way for me.
Yeah. Is there been times that has felt like a burden to you? Has there been times where that just seemed like a lot? And would you be willing to generally share
Yeah.
kind of how you worked through those hard times?
I think right now, where I'm at right now with our nonprofit and supporting families with special needs dependents, I want to say yes to everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to support everybody. But recently, I've been better at saying, I can't. I want to. This isn't a good fit. Or a timeline doesn't work and I can't make it happen. So I'm getting better at realizing that sooner rather than later. And I guess just being okay with that. Being
Yeah.
okay with that I can't support everybody all the time. It sucks. And it's not what I want. But sometimes that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And trying to force something because of the kind of person that I am to really have that will to make it work, I'm learning that it's not okay. It's not my best interest. It's not in their best interest. And it's better to just say, I can't, or I won't, or not right now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better about that.
Yeah. We're always a work in progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said at the beginning, and kind of coming back to what I'm going to refer to as the learning, saying no, not yes to everything, the letting go. I would even kind of throw in there. I like the acceptance word, talking about those things, what it is, and your competitiveness you brought up at the beginning.
Yes.
And I will tell you, throughout my career, I have been taught like how good competitiveness is. I believe it's in the Strength Finders 34. There's even a kind of a rating or a tendency of competitiveness, and I know that's desired for different. As a skill for different roles. Tell me how you describe your competitiveness.
Oh, brutal. I'm extremely competitive.
Mhm.
Always have been, whether it's from an athletic standpoint, from my career,
Mhm.
school, you name it. Always competitive. Always want to do the best. Always want to. I shouldn't say that. I actually never have been the best. I'm one of those where I kind of use the phrase that I like to stay just below the radar. So that way I can show up for the things that I want to show up for, and
Mhm.
the things that I don't, I can stay right below that visibility line.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I've always been that person that just kind of hovers right around. I do really, really well, but I don't want to be the best,
Mhm.
because I feel like that is constantly, then you're in the limelight of everything all the time. Uh, so I go into things, for example, when we went to BizX, I was like, there's no way. I'm never going to win this. Like, it's
Mhm.
not going to happen.
Mhm.
And then I did. And I wasn't prepared for that. And I think that part of it is a little bit of just being humble,
Mhm.
that I don't do what I do, especially now,
Mhm.
to be recognized.
Mhm.
I do it to support people and because I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
That's the change that has happened for me,
Mhm.
is the purpose, the impact. It's not about me. It's about what we're doing for others.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that pivot, right? You talked about that there was probably a shift there.
hmm
Where is kind of a point in this journey that you've had to make a pivot, or several?
What minute of what day are we talking about?
Yeah.
And that's something that I talk about and have for many years, is that ability to shift and change and go with the flow. Not always great at that,
Mhm.
let's be honest. But there, in sales specifically, there's always the need to shift
Mhm.
and be flexible and change, and because nothing is ever the same.
Yeah.
There's no two clients the same. There's no two. So for me right now, there are no two families the same.
Mhm.
And so it's about learning what is best for them and how I can support them. And I get literally every single family that I talk to, there is a need for pivot
Mhm.
always, because again, there are no two the same.
Mhm.
And I feel like, again, I've been grooming myself for that
Mhm.
over the years, and it's just done in a different way now.
Sure. And when you think about that situation where something is presented to you, there's a life situation. I love talking about, we always have a choice of how we respond, the good old
Mhm.
respond versus react thoughts. When you talk about meeting that family, or looking at everything as kind of a unique situation, I see that as someone who's really growing into having many different perspectives, having less judgment, having kind of an open mind.
Mhm.
How would you describe it from your perspective?
I think that you hit it. So when I'm talking to a family,
Mhm.
first and foremost, I've been in their shoes.
Mhm.
So they immediately feel some kind of a connection because of that. So it's not a job for me. I tell
Mhm.
people that all the time. Like,
Mhm.
I genuinely understand where they have been
Mhm.
as much as I can. Like,
Yeah.
again, there's, individual scenarios that we might not understand specifically,
Mhm.
but we have that common ground
Mhm.
together. I have a pretty diverse background.
Mhm.
Because of that, there is no judgment.
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
Mhm.
It is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that people feel safe, that they feel guided
Mhm.
in a way that it's not about what's in my best interest. It's about what's in their best interest.
Mhm.
So I feel like guiding people in that way, again, it's just been one of those things that just inherently I've been learning how to do that, and positioned for what I do now
Mhm.
over the past 25, 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you reflect back, when maybe you weren't there yet? What were some of the results?
Oh boy. Wow, that's a loaded question. Um, I guess every day is like that
Yep.
though.
Yeah.
Every day is learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's learning to be better, be more efficient, do things that serve other people in a way that I'm meeting them where they are. Instead of in corporate sales, there's an agenda attached to it. I don't have an agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually recently is working with a family. The woman, the mom, is my client. Her ex-husband is helping her based on some circumstances, and he wanted to hear how I was going to be helping her. And we're having this conversation. I'm explaining everything, and at the end, he's like, "Well, why would I work with you and not somebody else?" And I just very matter of factly said, "You can work with whoever you want. I don't know anybody else doing what I'm doing or doing it the way that I'm doing it. But this is not a sales pitch. You do not have to come work with me.
Yeah.
I'm here to support you. This is not benefiting me from a monetary standpoint or anything. You do you."
Yeah.
And actually, that was kind of freeing because it
Yeah.
was like there's no agenda,
Yeah.
no nothing other than really just that ability to say, "I'm here to support you."
Yeah.
And there's no expectations in return,
Mm-hmm.
monetarily, physically, emotionally, nothing. And that's kind of really freeing to be able to say to people.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I'm good with everything, and I'm like, "Okay, good. I'm glad you're good with everything. But by all means, if you want to go out there and try to figure out something else, you go right ahead."
Yeah. Yeah. When you describe that, I just think about some of the growth that I've had as well, of thinking that I needed to control, or the illusion that I had any control. And, and that whole idea of, back to why I love sales, it's not about convincing anybody, it's just letting people know.
Yep.
And so when you talk about your response is maybe different than like, I need this to eat today, which maybe was a scenario when you were selling shoes, because it was how you made your money.
Yep.
So definitely the different seasons present a different way of being able to accept it for what it is. There's that pressure isn't necessarily there. So how would you describe success today? Tell us about your world today. What's Janis up to, and what's your success story today?
Well, if you had asked me this 2.5 years ago, the answer would have been very, very different. And I tell people that all the time. If you would have told me that I was going to start a nonprofit, that our lives would be turned upside down, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have said it's never going to happen. But things do happen, and things do change, and a lot of things are not our control. And so for me right now, success is measured in so many different ways. When we first started having the conversations about how we could pay it forward to other families, I had a vision. And here we are 2 years later, almost to our 2-year anniversary, and the things that I had envisioned have been implemented, or we've reached some of those goals, or we've really started to impact families in Wisconsin. And so my level of success is literally getting out of bed every day. And showing up for people that no one else shows up for. because there's a massive gap in our community, and I want to make a difference for those families. And so that is my success. Now, it's not measured in numbers, it's not measured in goals, although we have them. I mean, come on. We still have all of those. We have to.
Yeah.
But, to literally just get out of bed and go to work and do what I do and still manage family and still manage my own personal self-care. That's my level of success today.
Yeah. I read too many books to remember titles and authors, but I really remember one that resonated with me then. And when you just tell me that, it was about we all define our own definition of success. There isn't one. Society has told us there are measurements, but
Right.
the reality is we get to define our own. And in this book, it gave an example of someone's success might just be that they have the most beautiful backyard that brings them joy every day. And
Sure.
I really thought about that a lot in regards to we get to define it. And it can change to your point of each day can be different and that kind of thing. But the impact part, there's a lot of layers there that we won't be able to get into today.
Right.
But definitely just knowing that you can go out and be impactful, definitely I can see where that can be a great motivator for you.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, as we kind of wrap up here, someone's watching and they want to get out of that quote unquote sales world, or they have had their world turned upside down and they want to turn it into some type of impact. What advice would you give to them?
I think it comes down to doing what feels good. Like really, like I knew I needed to do this, meaning the nonprofit. I knew I wanted to do it. It was in the moment where I sat down with somebody and he looked at me and he said, "You just need to start a nonprofit." And I went, "You're right."
Yeah.
But I knew it already. I just didn't give myself permission. And so I think that really it comes down to if something feeds you and you have the drive and the ambition and it's almost like that burning desire and in your gut it feels right. Just do it. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
And that's a majority of my career path. Trust me, and that's for a whole other conversation. But it took me 54 years to figure out what I want to do. And I am exactly where I need to be. I know it. People tell me almost on a daily basis. Complete strangers, people that I've known for years. And when you know. But I feel like society makes us make decisions a lot of times, or we do things because of we need to make money to survive, or we need to do that. Like really when it comes down to it, if you find really what that thing is, do it. And, just run with it. See what happens. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out. I don't know. I've had way worse happen.
Yeah.
And I think other people would be of the same mindset.
And you're still here.
I'm still here.
And you're telling your story.
I am.
Janice, it has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for sharing your story with others. When you talk about that fire burning, I always think about, a match can create an explosion, right? That tiny little thing. And so having that burning desire is a great example of where to start and keep working through it. So thank you for coming on Chiseled for Success today.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.